is. Does abuse justify abuse in return?
All right, I can't sleep because I'm stuffy or whatever, and came across this thing. She's not completely wrong. Check out the freaking rest of the video, but she's not completely right. And so here's story time. When I was married, I would try like there's different kinds of fixers. There's fixers where the other person tries to fix the person because there's something wrong with them. They think something's wrong with them, so they try to change their personality. And then there's fixers like I'm a fixer, which I'm trying to fix the situation so everything becomes copacetic. That's how I would be a fixer. So I'm kind of a fixer. I want to fix things. I want to make sure that everything's right and so forth. So we would have problems or issues. Like one was like mail, or she wasn't getting. We live in two different places at the time. This is just an example. This happened many times over in different situations. So I was getting that the heat bill was in my name. So I kept getting the heat bill. And I told her, and I called the heat company, and they said that she needs to call in so she can get switched to her name. That I would take my name off it, but they can't take my name off it until she calls in. She would not call in. So I would constantly get berated for not bringing the heat bill, and I keep telling her that if you want the heat bill, the best thing to do right now is to call in, get it set up in your name, so the bill comes for the condo. The bill comes to you and not to me because it's underneath my name. So they're going to send my bill for my apartment and my bill for your condo because we were living separate at the time because I got a new job somewhere else and we were working things out. So you need to get it in your name. And I had to tell her that like a bunch of times. That's the solution. And I told her that. It wasn't until repeated and repeated and repeated telling her that I just had enough and I had to raise my voice and just be angry because I'm so frustrated by her not making a simple phone call to get it in her name so she gets the bill that she wants so she could pay shit on time. And I also told her, it's like, it's online. You can pay it online. They got the different bills. But no. Now my assumption is either she just wanted me to take care of it and pay for it, or she wanted me to constantly have to keep track of extra stuff and fail so she can blame me for whatever reason, which she blamed me for a lot. Everything was my fault. So it wasn't until I lost my shit and has yelled at her, me to do this, um, and then she finally did what I asked her to do many times over, patient. Now this was also a double-edged sword because then she used this thing as me flipping my shit, not telling the entire story as I was a potentially abusive person, even though I was the abused one. Because I had to constantly go over this and try to be patient as possible and explain myself over and over again in different ways and situations so she could understand, but it was never willing to fully understand and constantly bringing up scenarios that could easily be fixed that she would never fix because she had to actually do the work to do so. So uh, it takes that situation, her dichotomy that the lady that's in the beginning does not work because it can't work no matter how much patience you have. And I had a lot of patience, more than most, not as much as some. It's not going to work because that person needs some kind of emotional reaction in order for her to take action to fix the problem. And that's a lot of the ways it was. Like, there's many times what I learned in my marriage is that basically I could not rely on her for any help whatsoever. When I had a flat tire on my bike, I called and I called and I called. And I called her phone. I called her mom's phone. I called our home phone repeatedly. and called her mom's cell phone. Many attempts to get help, and none of them answered. And I ended up walking 5 miles in over 100-degree heat. It looked like I just dropped into a pool and got out by the time I got home because I sweated so much. During the night, after I got off work, and yeah, and I got home, she asked me, "Why didn't you call?" "Oh, I needed to walk anyway," is what I told her. Not that I repeatedly tried to call, and that was more than once. Whenever I needed help, she never answered the phone, never was available. Though I would drop everything for her. So yeah, it's reciprocal. Is it reciprocal? Is the question. What would you do if the roles were reversed? Would they do it back for you? I know now, 10 years, over 10 years really, that if it's not reciprocated and they don't answer your phone call, or they don't reply back within a certain amount of time, they're not really, and they don't really, I would say, love you. They love the idea of you, and it's not worth it. There were plenty of times I should have gotten out of the relationship, and I stayed in there because of vows, and yeah, yeah, I'll just say that. But take a look at her video. It does make sense. I will say I'm not gonna poo-poo on it, but depending on who you have and what forth, it's not work. Does abuse offer things for abuse as name calling? I would say no. Mostly, I avoid the name calling as much as possible. But some people like her and a few others that I even dated, they always wanted a knockout, drag out. They wanted to have an argument. They wanted to have a shouting match. And then they always claim, "Well, I don't yell. You yell." Uh, I know my ex-wife's loving term for me was asshole. And I stonewalled and took a lot of her abuse and sat and just had her call me asshole and tell me everything I doing was wrong and blah, 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 and yakety schmackety. And I just took it. Well, I don't do that anymore. So, uh, I don't take the abuse. I'm gone. Bye. Because when things would get heated, when we have arguments back in the day, I would want to leave and cool off and come back at it later because hot heads do not produce solutions, and she didn't like that. So she made a rule that I couldn't leave. And if I couldn't leave, then I started stonewalling and just sitting there and taking whatever. Like Rocky, just getting punch after punch after punch without striking back. That's not a good solution. I'll just tell you that. It's not a good solution. But I'm long-winded. I need to go to bed. So this is my woeful tale of misfortune. And I hope you are better prepared in life because of it. And have a great, wonderful day, everybody. Adios.